Now let's look at the actual widget itself. So, UI tutorial, here we are. On the UI side, you've got up here the designer and the graph area. On the designer side, I more or less just took a bunch of text bars and also a progress bar. And here you can see I gave them various things, name, text, health bar, and then there's a canvas panel, which I use, and I put the class and title on, so if this canvas panel is made to be not visible, the title and class will also disappear. In this case, those are the detail stats that I will only show when you're looking right at it. Most of these are centered, aligned text and stuff, and in most cases anchored to the center as well. Like, I'm sure you can do this better. UI is in general not my specialty, so this was a bit of a learning thing for me as well. Either way, so on the graph side, we'll have created a number of variables, all those variables that we were assigning stuff to, the current health, max health, arbitrary point, location, in focus, UI distance. So back here on our character, this is the stuff that we were setting by referencing the saved user interface from the map that we had created. So for the user interface, right off the bat, we ask, what is our max health? If it's nothing, then we think that whatever this actor is doesn't have a health bar, so we're just gonna make it hidden. On the case that isn't the case, though, current health divided by max health for the in percent. In percent is 0 to 1, not 0 to 100, so this simple division approach works. And make sure that it's also visible in case it was previously invisible. Then after that, we'd move on to the next area. Set the render translation. This effectively says where on the screen it's going to render. So for this, we used the location that we'd updated. This is the world location of that little UI widget arrow. And let's see. Project world location to widget position. So we use this. We have the player controller for our player so it knows the actual what their screen looks like. Then screen position and a minus for another 2D vector. Minus 960 by 540 given the size of our screen, otherwise it would be stuck up in a weird area and it just looks wrong, so you have to offset it by that amount. And then put that as the translation with a target for the main canvas panel. The main canvas panel being this section that holds all the stuff here. There's the complete canvas panel up here. Again, I'm sure other people will know how to set this up a little bit better than me, but it works. Branch in focus. Here we have our texts. Decide, so if this thing is in focus, this widget, then the text is visible. If not, it's hidden. We also have a little focus value, which is just a little float that we adjust between here we are, target of 1 and 0.4, and then we have a little f interp to constant, which means that we will very quickly adjust this value between 2.1 if we're in focus and 0.4 if we're not in focus, but it does it smoothly, not instantly. This is what makes it smoothly scale up and down. You could speed this up by raising these numbers. So we take this value, the focus value, and then we will add it to the UI distance. We clamp it to 500 to 2000 because I don't want the UI getting too big if you get too close. There's a certain point where I'll just keep it from getting bigger, and if you get really far away, it won't keep getting smaller to the point that you can't even see it. You might not want to do this, you might want to let it keep getting smaller, but in my case, I clamped it to a certain distance range for how it'll scale. Then 650 divided by that output. You'll want to mess around with these numbers to get your desired results. So then I take this and added it into the focus value and put this as the scale for the main canvas panel. Set render scale. So this controls how big that is on the screen. And this is added onto this other value for if we're in focus or not, is added onto the distance. Now, going back here, there's a couple other things that you might be confused about. First of all, for name, you might have noticed that we weren't doing anything over there. That's because over here, under the content appearance, yada yada, all this stuff. Under content text, you can bind. It normally will say bind, so you can then click on a variable. In this case, we have, that's text, so it can be bound to a text variable. So I have the name variable, so now if it's bound to that, this will always show whatever value this variable has. So for these, that's how they're updated. In addition, to actually get a reference to the main canvas panel, there is, in this upper area here, is variable. You'll want to enable that, and if you've enabled that, then it will actually show up in this variable panel over here. Otherwise, that's why you don't see all the other text bars and things. We only have the text bars that we wanted here because we clicked is variable up here. So that's more or less that. So the result is it scales up when you look at it, down when you look away. It shows more details when you're looking at it, less when you're not looking at it. And you'll notice that as you get farther away, it gets a bit smaller, but only up to a certain point. And then after around 2000, which is someplace around here, it'll start getting bigger on the screen as you get closer up to a point around here. So we could let that keep getting bigger, but this was just what I found that I liked. And then Pokey, the well-traveled donkey poker. Very serious business, that. So with this, you have a basic example of how you can have a in-world user interface that displays on your screen. Now, when I go into full screen, you'll notice stuff pokes off a bit to the left. This is one of those areas where I am, again, not as, shall we say, skilled as I could be. It has something to do with this area, how you offset it here, mixed with here it's off to the left, the main canvas panel. But if I take the main canvas panel and try and center it like this, then when I'm not in full screen, they're off. And as I get farther away, they'll start to go a bit up to the upper right. So this is, yeah, a basic way to set up a UI. You'll probably, for your own UI, want to learn more about UIs in general, but for simply the basic idea of getting to send information from one actor to another source, and then to also be able to forward that to the user interface, this is the basic approach that you'll generally want to take. Though, again, you'll want to make a better user interface than this probably, so look up a bit more into that area. As, of course, depending on your specific needs. Some people, all you need is a little bit of text that's in a static location. Other times, like this, you want it stuck in the world, and then you might want to have various things on it scaling and doing all sorts of interesting things, and you might want to be displaying images or, custom art for, like if you have crosshairs, you could use a picture that just has a, or material with alpha or opacity values is your crosshair, various things. So, again, the basic idea here is we use the getInfo interface, and then any actor that has this interface will be added into an array on our player character, and they will create a widget for that actor, and then they'll update that UI widget with the information sent from that actor through the interface. And with that, after third-person character, yeah, so you take this and you update it. And when you first made it, you add it to your viewport and saved it along with that, so just like that, you can see it. In this case, you're creating a new user interface widget for every character, not necessarily on the screen, since this also applies when they're not on the screen, but yeah. Hopefully you found this to be a little bit informative or useful. Again, user interface stuff is not my specialty, but I do at least know some of the basics, so hopefully I can help others out there who are even less informed than I am. Later.